Welcome to Encroachment Sports Talk. The NBA season just ended, and guess what? The NBA draft is coming up this Thursday. They do not waste any time. So we're going to do a little draft preview because hope always springs eternal in the off season. So we're excited about talking about some of these prospects and see what some of these players who will make huge differences on their teams going forward. So what we thought we would do was just to talk about who we thought would be the NBA all-rookie team. So that'll give us a flavor for the two guards and the three front court players who we think will make the all-NBA rookie team. So I thought I would do something controversial, and let's start with the starting center.
I was going to say we might have one position where we overlap.
Yeah. So Chris, who you got at center?
There's some guy from France named Victor. You want to talk a little bit more about him?
You care to pronounce the last name?
Wembayama.
Yeah, pretty good.
Not bad, yeah.
It's like we all can say Antetokounmpo now, right? Like that's harder than Wembanyama, but still, it's a hard one to say. What do you see in this guy? What do you think is his future?
Well, I mean, he's a potential generational talent, right? I mean, I think everyone who follows the NBA at all knows about this kid. And what's amazing to me is not only is he talented he's long, he's 7'4", and he's got the wingspan of a California condor, basically. But what's amazing to me is his ability to play. He can do it all. He can play defense. He can shoot threes. He can drive. He can block. I mean, he's got it all. He's got everything on his resume. He's got every talent you could ever want. In fact, he's so talented. Guess what? This will tie into our gambling one we did last week. Guess what his odds of winning the Rookie of the Year are?
I think I would guess like you have to bet. If you bet $100 and you win, they'll pay you 95 back.
Yeah, he's minus 300.
Okay, so that's
worse. So you have to pay $300 to get 100 back.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you. I was saying you bet 100 and then you lose $5. I don't know how to describe odds. I'm not a gambler.
Oh yeah,
I was trying to make a joke. Yeah. I mean, what's fun for me looking at NBA prospects is to compare them to, what kind of past player do you see in them, or maybe a hybrid. And I see Wembanyama as a hybrid between Ralph Sampson and Kevin Durant. So he's got the length and the defensive, shot blocking ability of Ralph Sampson. I might be dating a lot of you younger viewers, but look it up. He played with Hakeem Olajuwon, better college career than pro. But anyway, he has that length and can play defense like that. But yet he's got the offensive game and he's got the two things that are impressive is that his handle is pretty good for a 7. I've seen him listed as anywhere between 7'2" and 7'5", but let's go with like 7'3", 7'4". For a guy that big, his handle is amazing. And with a guy that big, like if you look at Kevin Durant's game, he doesn't blow by people. He's not quick enough to really blow by people, but Kevin Durant can pull up from 18 feet with you right in his face and just shoot over you.
Right.
And this guy's got, 3 inches on Durant at least. So he can just shoot right over you. And, he's got a high release point and he's going to be tough. He's going to be tough.
He's got all the tools to be unstoppable.
Yeah. And of course, he's going to go to the Spurs, just like all the generational centers.
That's true. That is funny how that all worked out, huh?
Yeah. David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and now Wembanyama. So
unbelievable.
So let's move on. I wanted to. So when I was looking through doing research, the thing that struck me about this draft is there is tons of athleticism. There are some freak athletes coming out, but there's also a lot of poor shooting. So what's going to make the difference in these, in these guys that are amazing, and then there's some great shooters who are less athletically gifted. So in terms of who becomes the best pro, it's your projection on whether these guys who can't currently shoot can develop a shot, or the guys who don't seem that athletic are crafty enough to get their shots off and create plays without amazing athleticism, which has happened before. So let's talk, who do I like in terms of the guard positions? I think one of the guards is probably another unanimous pick is Scoot Henderson out of the G League.
Yep.
This guy is got a great first step. He's amazingly athletic. He's 6'2", but he's got long arms, so I don't think he's going to be a defensive liability. His handle, his passing, he's got a mid-range game. His issue is that he's currently a bad three-point shooter. But I think with the player that's that dynamic, with the ball in his hands, with creating for others, with driving, with kind of pick and roll, pick and pop shooting, those, his inability to shoot threes certainly won't limit him in the short term in terms of making the all rookie team. My second guy is, this might be a little bit of a stretch or in terms of a surprise, but I like, and I know this is a big favorite of yours, is Grady Dick out of Kansas. He's
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, so Grady Dick reminds me a lot of Reggie Miller. He's a lights out shooter, but not only that, he has this lightning quick release on that 3-point shot, and he also has a very high release point. So envision a Reggie Miller, or at a minimum he'll be a Duncan Robinson, but we know Duncan Robinson prior to Hero's injury was like relegated to the Heat bench, but Robinson also burst on the scene his first year and was well regarded. I don't think Grady Dick will be one of the top 5 out of this class in the long term, but I think he's already so polished in his ability to shoot and also create for others and move without the ball. I just think he'll have enough coming from a good program in Kansas to kind of get out the gates quick and make the all rookie team.
Gotcha. So we have overlap in the Scoot Henderson. I've got a different guy at my 2, which would be, and he calls himself a point guard, by the way, and it's the lottery. So what's his first name, Mark? Amen Thompson?
Or Amen, I think.
Amen. Okay. Or is it Amen? You want to take a lottery pick. So anyway, yeah, he's 6'7", and he calls himself a point guard. He's got elite athleticism and wingspan. He is a little bit raw, but I mean those measurables are pretty impressive. So we'll see if he stacks up.
I thought about him. I like a lot of what he brings to the table, but he's a horrible shooter.
Yeah. Well, that's one way you're gonna have to develop you're gonna have to develop a shot. I mean, that's the thing, obviously.
Yeah. There are some really amazing athletes. He being one of them. There's a lot of them. His brother too is an amazing athlete, a better shooter, but slightly worse handle. I think for that reason he calls himself a shooting guard, but they're twin brothers. Who do you like to round out the front court? Who are your 2 forwards?
Okay, so we probably have overlap in at least one, right? Brandon Miller out of Alabama, or maybe not. Mark, you seem to be.
We almost didn't. Why don't you tell me what you like about him?
Well, I mean, prototypical size, 6'9", 200. I mean, he can really play around the rim. I mean, the issue that comes up with him obviously is this character issue that popped up, right? So, and is he going to be able to keep out of trouble and keep motivated? I think he will, but he's got all the skill sets. If you watch his game, I mean, he's pretty impressive when he wants to play. So.
Yeah, so I had a hard time finding my second forward, and he got my second forward nod. Because they all have warts. And what I don't like about Brandon Miller is he has an ugly release point. He shoots way too low, and it takes forever for his 3-point to get released. And that's what I liked about Grady Dick. Very quick release, high release point. Same with, Wembanyama doesn't even need a high release point, but he has it. But I just wonder about that when you're shooting from the hip almost. I mean, it's not the hip, but like very low. And taking long, people can close out and block that shot. So he's also not an elite athlete. He's a 6'9" good athlete, but he's not going to be able to blow by people. He's not going to use his athlete. So trying to get that spacing, right? If you're not able to blow by people, you know, he's a 6'9". He's not like, his handle isn't there yet where he can, you know, take him off the dribble. He's going to get kind of catch and shoot options. And if it's slow developing, I just wondered about, well, you know, will he take some time to adjust to the NBA game?
Oh,
And
there's no question. I mean, it's a good point about his release point. I hadn't thought of that, but it's a good point. But I was always under the guys that, hey, look, they're now moving from either, you know, elite high school, but college generally, or the G League. So they're going to get the best shooting, you know, shooting coaches and options. And so I think if you give him a better release point and show him how to shoot the ball. So I guess I was thinking, you're right. This next year, will he make the rookie team? Maybe not, but I think he's got the potential to be really good.
Yeah.
And get that resolved. So
I think so too. I think he's going to figure himself out and get better and better through the years. And he would probably be my third pick in the draft.
Yep.
I see him mocked as high as 2. I would go Scoot Henderson before him because I have less doubts about how Scoot Henderson's game will translate to the NBA. But yeah, your question about all rookie team, but I did put him on it. Who do you have as your other forward?
no, who do you have first?
Well, I have a guy from your backyard, is Jarris Walker,
Okay.
out of Houston. He's one of these all-world athletic freaks, 6'8". He can defend, like what I think in terms of my vision of how he makes the team. He's going to wow people so much with his defensive versatility. Like he literally can guard the 1 through the 5. So as a rookie, who gets on the court is those guys who aren't a defensive liability, right? If you have some offensive game, but you're just lost out there defensively, you won't see as much time to be able to put up the numbers. He's got fantastic defensive ability. He's not the most polished on offense, but he can shoot, and he's a decent passer. So I think, given that, you know, if he gets into the right situation, he'll be playing a ton because he's a lockdown defender. He'll put up enough numbers on the offensive side of the ball. He's, you know, with his athleticism and 6'8" stature, he'll be able to finish and you know, be the recipient of passes and stuff like that. So anyway, that's who I have.
Well, I liked him. He was one of the guys I was looking at. I worry about his size, but I worry about this next guy's size too, Cam Whitmore out of Villanova. And he's 6'7", so he's about in that same range, 6'7", 6'8". You know, is it big enough in the NBA to be a full-time player? So, but he could be a wing, and that's where maybe I see him going. So
he's exactly, yeah. He was next on my list. I was deciding between those 3. I think I might have had. Oh, actually, there's another guy I had as another great defender, but Whitmore, also great defensive potential. Athletic freak, strong, like an NBA body already, but you know, unpolished on offense, mediocre shooter, and a poor playmaker, you know. So
let me tell you why I got, and I think you did too. I watched a lot of the NBA this year, and certainly the finals, and Aaron Gordon's ability to play defense was unbelievable. He made, in my opinion, a tangible difference to that result because he can guard all those positions, and he could guard Jimmy Butler. He was the only guy who could lock down Jimmy Butler at all. I see these guys as being somewhat like him as they develop. He was in the 6'8" range from San Jose. So
I mean, the key in the NBA today is they look for switches, right, to get their a mismatch, and the more guys you have that can guard anybody, and you're able to switch everything, and they can't take advantage of a mismatch, the more valuable of a player you are. And fortunately there's a lot of, like I said, all these athletic people. If you're athletic and you dedicate yourself to playing defense, you can do it. And a lot of these
you have a little size too.
I also was very intrigued and kind of had him in my list for a while with the power forward out of Central Florida, 6'9", named Taylor Hendricks. Just phenomenal rim protector, and also quick enough, you know, to guard people out in space, on you know, not just under the basket. Kind of reminds me of a more laterally quick Robert Williams from the Celtics, like that. He's got that kind of timing on shot blocking, and he'll be able to finish alley-oop kind of thing, but he's got a horrible touch with any of his post up. Like his offensive game, other than finishing on alley-oops, is really weak. So.
That's a good name, though. I hadn't even thought about him.
Yeah, he's projected to be a later lottery pick. But yeah, it's cool. We had a lot of the same names. It's, some of these guys are going to surprise you. We don't know which of these guys will evolve, will step up and improve, which guys have the work ethic to fix their weaknesses and get better and better.
Or the right chemistry, right? The right coaching staff, the right fit with the players. I mean, there's so many variables. That's why we love the draft so much, whether it be in the NFL, the NBA, whatever the key is. That's what's so fun, is watching these players develop.
Yeah, I think there's a clear-cut top three, a clear-cut top one in Victor, and then either Miller and Scoot Henderson, or vice versa. And then after that,
all the mocks I've seen have those.
Yeah. And then after that,
but 2 and 3 change.
So let's talk about non-lottery picks that have a chance to be very good players. Is there anybody that jumps out at you?
Well, I got 3, but I'm really just going to talk about. You already know one of them, but because it's a homer issue. But I'll talk to him at the last. The guy I really like actually is Jordan Hawkins from UConn. Do you know that name?
I don't.
Okay, so he's a 6'7" guy. Excellent shooter. The reason I got really into him, I was watching the NCAA tournament and watching him. He is one of the best off of screens that I've ever seen. He reminds me so much of a Ray Allen. Go back and look at the tape on him. He's just amazing. So he's one of the better shooters. He's got elite level, again, ability to off screen, pick and roll, all that good stuff. Worry about some of his injuries and maybe some of his playmaking, but I think he has got the chance to be a great wing in the NBA. And I don't think he was at one point, they thought he would go in lottery. I think he's not going to be a lottery pick, but somebody's going to get a heck of a bargain, I think. Do you have any? And then I'll tell you my real sleeper. But what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I see why. I have to confess, I didn't in the mock. I see him going 11th, and once I got my 2 guards, I just I didn't look at it. So that's my bad. I'm going to go back and look at the tape. I love to watch these guys and again compare him. He also sounds like a Reggie Miller type player. Very active.
Well, the guy that real well because of his history with the Celtics and is Ray Allen. That's
yeah. Did you look at Grady Dick? Like, do you compare the two in any way?
Yeah, same thing. Comes off screens, great shooter. I mean,
but more athletic.
Yeah, but more athletic. And
okay.
The rim. This guy's longer though, so.
Yeah, Dick is 6'7", Hawkins is 6'5". Okay, so you're trading length for athleticism.
Yeah.
The guy I liked, so we talked about all the athleticism in the draft. And again, we go back to like comparing players. The guy that kind of jumped out at me could be a really sneaky good player. They clearly won't go in the lottery, is a 6'6" player out of Ohio State named Bryce Sensabaugh. He reminds me of Paul Pierce in that he's already got a grown man body, very strong, not super quick or athletic, just like Paul Pierce, but able, very crafty and uses his strength and super mid-range game. He also can hit the 3. And he also, is a very aware player. But I just watching his highlights and looking at his ability to score from the mid-range, also using his strength to get to the hole, and then hit threes. He's going to be a strong offensive player. He needs work on defense, and I think it's mostly out of lack of effort. Like I didn't see the effort that he puts in on D. I mean,
but you can fix that part, right? That's one of the parts you can fix.
Hopefully. But yeah, he just, I go through and you look at the player's game and you just try to see something that you can equate to somebody else who's been successful in that same mode. And I just see Bryce Sensabaugh being potentially successful like Paul Pierce was.
Yeah,
could be dead wrong on the guy because, he's only 6'6". If he tries to get to the hole, maybe they can block all of his shots, that kind of thing. So it depends on how crafty he is, but he just looks like a solid, like a very skilled player for his age.
And you didn't meet him when you were at the event with your daughter at Ohio State. You didn't meet him.
Oh yeah,
there was no cash that changed hands or anything.
They rolled out the red carpet for our trip there, so I met all the top flight athletes.
I was gonna say, well, I saw your picture of the horseshoe, so I know you did see some stuff around there.
Yeah. So spoiler alert: Marvin Harrison Jr. top pick next year.
Yeah, I think that's
in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. And so the last guy that I'll mention real quickly, and this is just the homer one, is Brandon Podemski, and he's from Santa Clara, and it's because I went to graduate school there. Look at his stats, though. You might actually end up with him. I see a lot of mocks with the Celtics having him. So he's 44% from three, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. He's an exceptional shooter. So he's like a Nash shooting ball. Maybe not quite that good, but he's not huge. He's 6'4", 6'5". And his defense is he's got effort, but he doesn't have a lot of lateral quickness. So he's going to have to make up for that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that much of a homer pick. I was intrigued by him. He amazing shooter. The one thing that caused me to I only picked one guy who he's certainly one that could develop, but I wanted to just pick one guy. And the reason, other than homerism, that I didn't pick him was I called Bryce Sensabaugh crafty. Podemski is more creative in a way I don't think will work in the NBA. Like he puts up these weird shots when he's stuck.
Yeah, he does.
Kind of like a hook from the waist. Like I don't think that's going to work in the NBA. And I think his coaches will. I don't think he has the highest release point or the quickest release. So I think he'll take a little bit of time to develop, and but he's certainly a possibility. He's a very special offensive player, and some players have a knack for that, right?
Well, all I can say is the fact that it went 2 years in a row, Jalen Williams and then Brandon, is unbelievable for Santa Clara, who's not a hotbed of basketball activity. Our last big match. So.
What I like about Podemski that I don't like about Jalen Williams is you guarantee there won't be 2 players on his team with the same name.
I know. That's funny. Yeah, we're going to have to watch that when we draft our teams this year.
The Oklahoma announcers are like, and Jalen Williams and Jalen Williams, like they emphasize a different syllable. It's like, you got to get a nickname. Come on. I can't tell these guys apart.
Somebody's got to go to Jay Will or something.
Yeah, exactly. So you have any, the last thing, especially with the way the NBA finals finished, I saw this very funny tweet. I forget, it was from one of the NBA beat guys that's real popular on ESPN, but he said, I'll never remember when the Nuggets franchise luck changed, when they drafted Jokic, and they showed a picture. It was during a commercial. It was like a Burger King commercial, and it was just on the ticker on the bottom that they picked him, in the second round, they don't cover every pick. So,
but he didn't. He was out of Serbia, obviously. He didn't. If you look at photos of him and stuff, he didn't look like he was going to be. People could have easily missed him. This
site that I really like is called nbadraft.net, and they rate on a scale of 1 to 10 on about 10 different categories their skills, and I think maybe there's more than 10 categories. I don't know, because I think I've seen people over 100, but high 90s. Like I think some of the top guys this year, other than Wembanyama, Miller, and Henderson, were like 97 or something. Like late first round will be at 90. He had an 85 rating. So I mean, that's just a run of the mill guys. But is there anybody that you saw that's got a second round projection that you think could surprise and be a really good player? I mean, Joker's not the only player who's ever filled that role. Mark Gasol was also a second round pick. There are others, but you can certainly find. It's like it's not quite to the extent of the NFL, because there's not as much talent out there, but you can find people in the second round that can be superstars like Joker. So
Mine would be, this is a long shot, but I just like his size and athleticism. He was certainly underwhelming as a freshman. Derek Lively out of Duke.
Lively is climbing up the draft boards. He's no longer a second round prospect at all.
Oh, is he? All right. Yeah. Well, he was a lottery pick last year. Should he had come right out of it, and then I would have been reading and he's fallen. But
yeah,
anyway, so maybe people know more than I give him credit for. But he was not great offensively. I mean, you look at him, he's underwhelming. 20 minutes. I mean, his problem is he's great defensively, like 3 blocks, but 3 fouls every 20 minutes. So he's got to learn to be much more disciplined. So yeah, I guess that's not a surprise. What's your big surprise that you want on the Celtics, Mark?
Yeah, this is a guy. I honestly saw mock to him and mock to the Celtics, and I didn't look at the guy because the name sounded like a European, just a run-of-the-mill European shooting guard. But this guy, when I looked at the tape, his name is Sidis Sissoko. I think I'm pronouncing it right. He's a 6'7" wing out of France, played with the G League Ignite. He's a long athletic freak, excellent finisher, slasher, can hit the 3 with a beautiful release, and defend. And even I saw many times where he's driving, they close out on him and he dishes to somebody, which is part of today's game, right? You drive and then you dish to the 3, and so I need to study him a little more to see what people don't see in him, why he would be a second round pick.
Well, I read about him, but you're right. He's not. I don't know why he's not more up in lottery range, but
yeah. Another player. This is guy who's going to go in the first round, but super intriguing until I saw his shot. He actually played with Wembanyama. Bilal, I can't pronounce this name, but Kolabe or something. I don't know. But this guy is an athletic freak as well and does everything well except shoot. He cannot shoot. I was like, oh, I'm going to put this guy in my all rookie team. And then I saw his shot. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, yeah, don't ever do that. Remember the Ben Simmons thing.
Yeah. Yeah, if he goes to the Sixers, you're in trouble because they'll plant some kind of mental block like Fultz, right?
Yeah, great.
Anyway, good show. Do you have any other comments, thoughts on the draft?
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting. Like you said, I mean, it's always interesting to see where they land and who they land with, and the chemistry and the and the coaches, obviously. So it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Speaking of just ideal fit is Wembanyama with Popovich. And with that, they're gonna get him right both mentally and physically, and he's just in an ideal situation. I mean, I've seen people that think he's going to be an all-star. He probably will be an all-star his rookie year. He'll be that good.
Well, then, yeah. I mean, and you couldn't, like you said, you couldn't go to a better place than San Antonio with Pop there. And I think Pop, frankly, would have been, had he not had this option or opportunity, I don't think he wants to coach forever. So I think this will reinvigorate him.
Yeah, exactly. And they've got some young pieces, I wouldn't call them stars, but with today's collective bargaining agreement, no team, you're either going to have to build a team with 2 stars and then a lot of role players, or maybe 1 star and then some, $15-20 million players, and so they have a handful of players who could fit in that role, around Wembanyama.
Yep.
I gotta call him Wemby or something. Anyway, we could talk all day about NBA, but
that was a good show though.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll see you all next time.
Sounds good.